All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Greg with the National Weather Service in Spokane. It's Monday, December 11th, and we're going to go ahead and start with our weekly weather briefing. Here's the overview of the 7-day forecast. This forecast is for Spokane, but it's pretty representative of a lot of areas in the inland northwest. We're looking at basically two different patterns over the inland northwest over the next 7 days or so. The first pattern is going to continue from today through about Thursday. We're going to continue with this stagnant high pressure system that's bringing cloudy conditions to many of the lowland areas. While it's clear in some of our valleys to the north today, and it's been clear in our mountain elevations for the last several days. So what we're looking at here is temperatures mainly at or below freezing during the daytime and through the night, and the persistence of a lot of clouds and the potential for air stagnation during that time frame. On Friday, we're going to see the arrival of a pattern change and increasing chances for precipitation from Friday into the weekend and to start early next week. But more importantly, we're going to look at Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and look at the increasing south or southwest winds that are going to occur over a good part of the region. So that's going to help with the air quality condition that we've had over the last several days. One of the days that we're going to talk about most in the weather briefing today is Friday, that transition day between our stagnant pattern and our more active pattern. And we're going to have the possibility for some freezing rain in areas around the region. It doesn't look like it's going to be a huge event, but it could be our most significant weather episode of the week. So we'll spend a little time on that. Here's our current weather pattern, and we've seen this pattern here for the last several days where there's a large high pressure area in the upper atmosphere firmly planted over the western United States. So the jet stream is going upward or poleward quite abruptly as it encounters the west coast of the United States and then dips back down into the eastern United States. So we've been enjoying dry and stable conditions over much of the region, while the eastern United States has been dealing with rounds of cold temperatures and snowy conditions. This is what our satellite image looks like this afternoon. This shot was taken at about noon today, and it shows the low cloudiness in white over much of the Columbia Basin, the Palouse, the Lewiston-Clarkston Valley, and down into northern Oregon. These clouds are relatively low in the atmosphere. We have seen a little bit of clearing today in the Idaho Panhandle and our northeastern part of the state of Washington, but by and large, most of the populated areas in the region are under this shroud of low cloudiness. During these types of patterns, this time of year, we often deal with air stagnation when we have light winds and strong inversions aloft. And per coordination calls we had with our local air quality partners this morning, we've gone ahead and extended this air stagnation advisory through 10 a.m. on Friday. We haven't had a lot of issues with poor air quality yet, but with the light winds and the strong inversion for the next several days, it's important that people advise burn bans across the region so we don't introduce more smoke into this stagnant air mass. So on Friday, we're going to see this pattern change. The high pressure that's currently over the western United States is going to retrograde or move to the west. That's going to put that high pressure system over the Pacific Ocean. And that's going to allow a cold front to move into the region on Friday. And as it does, it's going to bring with it the potential for some light precipitation. Once we enter this more progressive or west to east jet stream pattern, that's going to persist or keep our weather relatively unsettled into the weekend and early next week, giving us several opportunities for some precipitation along the way. To talk a little bit more about the Friday weather, our forecast confidence is relatively low that we're going to see anything of major consequence with that system coming in, but we'll remind everyone that it doesn't take a lot of freezing rain to cause considerable difficulty. Only a a hundredth or two can cause problems with transportation and sidewalks and whatnot. So for Friday, our concerns are about the timing of the front, first of all, and the strength of the front and how much precipitation it's going to produce. As far as producing snow, it doesn't look like this system is going to produce a lot. In general, any place that does receive snow should get less than 2 inches, but it's that potential for the light glazing of ice that we're concerned about at this time. Going back to the timing of the front, this is the temperature forecast we have for Friday, and it looks like by the afternoon, a lot of our areas will be warming into the low to mid-30s. Getting any type of rain or freezing rain during temperatures like this makes it really difficult for that freezing rain to stick to the roadways during the middle parts of the day. Even if it is cloudy, the incoming solar rays, even through a cloud deck, causes the road temperatures to warm up a bit. So if we get the arrival of the precipitation early in the day on Friday, especially if it's in the morning time before the sun comes up, that would be our concern for having the most impact for the Friday morning commute. If the precipitation arrives by mid to late morning into the afternoon, our impacts will be minimized considerably by this precipitation episode. So in summary, for the rest of the week, we're looking at air stagnation issues with light winds and strong inversions through Friday. During the day Friday would be the potential for a wintry precipitation event, possibility of some light freezing rain, some sleet, or some light snow accumulations. Then as we move into the weekend, we're looking for a little increase in our winds, and that should help mitigate our air stagnation concerns, and it will also scrub out a lot of the cold air at the surface. And by the weekend, we probably won't be dealing much in the way of freezing rain concerns anymore. So here's the 8 to 14 day outlook. This is issued by the Climate Prediction Center, and it's valid December 19th through the 25th, so that takes us into Christmas already. Our temperature forecast is calling for near average to below average temperatures during that time frame. And our precipitation amounts, they're calling for below average chances for precipitation during that time frame as well. This is a relatively new forecast. The forecast that we were looking at over the last couple of days was for precipitation chances to be a bit higher. So the weather pattern is changing, and sometimes it takes a while for these forecasts to get tuned into those pattern changes. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are some changes that come down the line for next week in the forecast. So that concludes our weather briefing for today, and we urge you to stay informed with what's going to come at us on Friday. That could be the day that we have some weather to be concerned about.